Well, good evening and welcome to the Yard at the Bull. We should have been at the brewery, but this thing called COVID slapped us pretty hard. I'm
Nick Causton. I'm just a dad who does crazy stuff like this, basically. I think the last time I was here was when the Exhumed were playing. And as Mark Welby Johnson just reminded me, thank you very much, Welby, I built an amplifier and it disappeared to Cornwall. I got a phone call the first weekend to say it had blown out and electrocuted two of them, I think. At least one of them's still here.
So here we are on the Bull. The birthplace, I think the fact we are here
is brilliant. So thanks to Rob and the crew here for accommodating us at short notice. This is where the Fringe started, isn't it? I think the first Fringe stuff was in here, wasn't it? Anybody got any memories of that? Any memories? Clear Lane? Get out of here. No. Really?
Goodness me. And just to remind everybody, just to show everybody there is an audience here. They're all sort of sitting around the back. We have this lovely table in the middle and our two stewards. There's, just so you know, there's a camera right behind you if you want to look up at that little camera there. See the back of your head, don't like that. Okay. I'll get a roving microphone going on because tonight isn't about me gobbing off, it's about you guys actually. I'm really keen to share a few memories and a few thoughts and hopes and dreams for the future because those are the times you talk about Jack Kerouac, the crazy ones are the crazy ones who think they're crazy enough to change the world, are the ones who do, and that's really what we're talking about. And that's what we need to do because I think we've got a crisis on our hands. I think did anybody think there was a crisis in? Well, we can come on to that. I'm going to talk about that later on, I think. But we're going to be making it up as we go along as ever. I'd never done any live stream a year ago. I'd never plugged any of this stuff together. I've had a real nightmare. And believe it or not, something on a system like this, so you can hear it, is a whole new set of wiring. And that's why I haven't started drinking alcohol yet. This is lager-free shandy, alcohol-free shandy. So yeah, we're taking it one step at a time tonight. We've got people logged on. There's a few people watching on, where are they? Let's have a look. 3 people logged in at the moment on the Ludlow Fringe Facebook page, so welcome to you. We'll probably get a Zoom room going on later on, so if any of you in Facebook, Twitter, YouTube want to come into Zoom, we can put Zoom up behind me, and then you can actually be as if you're here, anywhere in the country, you can be part of it. What's happening tonight? Well, we've got a local legend. Well, that's me, you know that. We've got Fred Ward. I can't call him Fred Ward because I've only known him as Gary. He was a little pipsqueak when I last saw him, really. He's younger than my brother, 3 years younger. I'm digging a hole here, aren't I? He's now a very, very respected member of the teaching profession. Obviously, our education system depends on Fred. So we're going to hear from Fred Ward. We're going to have a chat with him, socially distanced chat. I've just sterilised his microphone. He'll be glad to know because I know he's got that anxiety look. I hope that microphone's been sterilised. And then we're going to have a chat with Chris Sullivan, who wrote a book called Rebel Rebel. Amazing bloke. I mean, he virtually invented nightclubbing as we know it today. If he hadn't, we'd still be drinking Baby Sham and our feet would be sticking to the carpets, not just in the Starline, but in clubs all over the country. And he really shook things up. Really cool guy. So he's coming on. He's from Merthyr. He's an angry man. He's very angry at the moment about the arts cuts and stuff like that to education. So we're going to need a fire extinguisher for him. Then we're going to be hearing from Glenn Matlock. I had a chat with Glenn earlier, so we're all set to go with Glenn. It's in his flat, so it's not going to be massive hi-fi. It's going to be great, and it's going to be real. It's going to be authentic. It's going to be like, somebody said, it's a bit like a fanzine for video, what we're doing here. We're just making it up, a bit like photocopying fanzines together back in the day. So I think, first of all, let's have a big round of applause for Fred Ward of Pig Days. Let's get him up here. Yes, yes. Fred is in the house. And he's got his suede shoes on as well. Let's have some, what are you going to do, elbows or fist bumps? Elbows, I think, yeah, elbows, elbow vibe, all good. Is that a bit trendy, is it, elbows? Turn your mic on, mate. There's a switch on the front there, look.
That's nothing new, is it, Mark? We've only just heard of COVID in Ludlow. We spent the last year partying and orgies and all sorts. We've only just discussed, yeah.
Where have you been?
It finally got through to the advertiser last week.
So, Fred, you're
younger than my brother, and you told me that you did a bit of Dead Man's Shoes with my brother, didn't you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, your brother Richard was he was the second guitarist in a semi-legendary local punk band called the Virgin Destroyers. He had the sack. I think he was deemed too posh. that might be a theme for tonight. Getting a sack from a punk band because you're too posh. We might be speaking to somebody else later.
My brother was too posh.
Yeah.
My brother was too posh and got kicked out of those.
He was from down Fishmore, you see, yeah. And the two founder members, Davy Finnegan, who you know very well, and Johnny Lawrence came up to me at school. I was all of 12 years old. Came up to me at school and said, "You got a guitar, haven't you?" I said, yes, Mr. Finnegan. Yes, right, you're in our band, and I became a Virgin Destroyer at the age of 12. Yeah, started my punk rock career.
So I always remember when we had the band The Exhumed, which Wells was here, so I'm going to hear from him hopefully later on in terms of chat. He's not playing anything, don't worry, we'll get him on the mic just to say hello. The Exhumed, now the high point of the Exhumed's career for me was a gig at the Town Hall. How many people here didn't know we had a Town Hall? Once. It was known as Ludlow's Bad Luck, I seem to remember. Somebody called it in a Victorian architectural journal.
And we had a gig there. I was the sound engineer and roadie and everything on this 12-channel mixing desk, which was absolutely brilliant. The Virgin Destroyer supported. Now, were you there at that gig?
No, that was your Richard playing that night. I was there.
Were you sulking at home, or you were there pogoing in the mosh pit, were you?
Yeah, well, it was a two-man mosh pit, if we were lucky in them days.
In our homemade charity shop Clobber from Lemmy's. Anybody remember Lemmy's shop?
Yes.
Let's test if you're a real Ludlow.
Lemmy's shop. Yeah.
What shop was that? I don't know Lemmy's shop.
There was a second-hand clothes shop.
They call it vintage these days, probably, wouldn't they? Second-hand clothes shop.
Opposite the Three Horseshoes pub, which disappeared many years ago as well. By the old Labour, see.
I do feel like a right toff down Fishmore now,
yeah. In Gelford.
Upper Gelford. Yeah, we all used to go and get our gear that we could buy a jumper for 10 bob. You can rip it up and put a few zips in it, can't you?
Was that the vibe, was it?
That was it, yeah.
So what did punk mean to you in 1979 then? How old would you have been? 15, 14?
13.
13.
79. It was a lightning bolt. It changed my outlook on life overnight. It really did. With my mate Sam Rees, actually, he played us a couple of his older brother's records. I think it was No More Heroes by the Stranglers, something by the Buzzcocks, and it was like, now, wow, what's this all about? And life changed. And I know Mark, another bandmate from sat over there, similar experiences. The world was different, wasn't it, overnight? Yeah, you heard that noise, you realised that you didn't have to be some kind of classically trained, amazing musician to make a difference, to be creative and to get your viewpoint over to people. Yeah, and life was never the same again for me.
So that was, 40 years ago, wasn't it? 40 years ago. So
yeah.
Have you been living the punk dream ever since then?
Oh, God, yeah. Been sniffing glue, yeah. Never taken anything at face value ever since. Always questioned, always been confident that our opinion as ordinary little urchins was just as important as anybody else's. And nobody could tell us what to do unless it's what we wanted to do. And that has stuck with us. It's not about haircuts, it's not about fashion, it's about the attitude that it induced in us, I think.
So Ludlow is a fairly conservative town, small C, capital C.
Fucking big C, yeah.
Treble CC.
Yeah.
How do you feel Ludlow has accepted a punk attitude over the years, and have you been able to have any impact, or has it just been?
I think I'd be lying if I said I'd taken the masses with me. But as in every place, Ludlow's not the chocolate box, is it? It's not that Battersea Dog Zone.
No, you will be able to see me. On the phone, you'll be able to see me on the phone, won't you? Put Can you put your phone in front? Get your phone in front, and you'll be able to see what's going out. Have a look at this. Well, you just simply wanted to see yourself.
Or University Challenge.
Has he not got? He's got audio on the phone. He'll have the phone. Can you put him onto Jeffrey?
Oh, I love the slickness of the. I never got this on Jonathan Ross.
Sorry, it's my agent. It's my agent, Gary. Sorry. Hang on a sec.
Oh, you wouldn't like that.
So that's Chris. The cameraman's just gone back to Chris.
There's a bit of technical issues setting it up to filming. We did a test earlier, it was working, so bear with us.
So Gary, you're a teacher. A teacher now.
Yeah.
What do you think of the young people today? Do you think punk is something that could ignite them? Do you see it in any of them? Do you see punk culture in kids at the moment? And you're teaching secondary, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's more difficult for them. I think there's so much, such a flood of information and ideas. It's really hard to imagine another sort of cohesive movement that affects enough people at the same time. I think, I'm sure there's those numbers of people being affected globally, but in a smallish community, it's really hard to imagine that happening now. I don't envy them. I don't envy them. You know, our youth wasn't perfect. There was a lot of violence, wasn't it? You know, small town England, a lot of village hall dances and fighting and very tribal. You know, but I think that people had an identity,
and you could see other people who you knew you were confident you would have something in common with. I think that's harder now.
Well, the funny thing was, in those days, it almost felt to me as if there was only one youth tribe at the time, wasn't there? You had none. You had like Pink Floyd sort of progressive rock lot, and then rock punk came along. Then New Wave, then Two-Tone, and there was always just one to focus on. Now there's a zillion little niche segments, and they all seem a bit manufactured to me. I'm not convinced that
I think it's really hard to come up with something new, isn't it? It's really hard. And obviously I talk to kids quite a lot, and it's
I should
really
hope so
hard
in
to
your
do.
job, mate.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between talking at them and talking to them. You know, and we work in a really fundamentally imperfect education system, and we're still working to a bloody Victorian system, trying to squeeze square pegs into round holes. And I know you're going to be in your bonnet about how shit education is as well.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far. Well, actually, maybe I would.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I'm safe to talk like that as a union rep. I can get away with murder. To be honest, they tend to keep their distance. But yeah, it's tough for kids. It's tough for them to believe that they got a stake in society and that they can have an influence and make a difference. we were perhaps one of the last generations of people who were allowed to believe we could do that. I think a lot of rebellion, youth rebellion now, is very easily channeled down safe avenues. I think punk was and Mark could speak more authoritatively on this than me, but punk was it was genuinely feared by the authorities. Maybe the dance scene in the sort of early 90s or whatever was seen as threatening, but not in the same way, not in a political way. You know, the government and authorities' reaction to the convoys in the early and mid 80s, I think, speaks volumes for that. And you can trace it all. It's a very direct line back to punk, isn't it? Can answer if you want.
I'm just rewiring some wireless speakers so we can get an audience involved. We're still building the set at the moment.
Okay.
But do you feel there's? I mean, I was chatting to my dad today. My dad's 84, and he feels really quite sorry and almost depressed for young people at the moment.
Oh,
because because the state the world's in, particularly with the political situation at the moment. And he's done his best over the years to work for community and make change and stand against that big C Conservative. Never dreamed of being Labour, because I didn't even think Labour existed really. There was a Labour Party, but it was, if the closest they came was a Liberal thing, wasn't it?
In Ludlow,
I just wonder if you get that. Do you get that sense of hopelessness, or is there an awareness of the situation?
I think with kids, or I just don't think they believe they can make a difference. It's really hard for them, kids now. I think because their access to information is like a tidal wave of bullshit in many cases, all the social media and the crap on TV they're exposed to. It's really hard for them to even have an inkling that they can make a difference. And I think to have the chance to really express themselves and show they care about things, I think it's denied to them a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, it's an overwhelming volume of content and information, isn't it? James O'Brien on LBC. Do you ever listen to him at all? Do you ever listen to James O'Brien on LBC? Do you know him?
No.
That show you're probably teaching him. 10 to 1 every day. But it's brilliant. And he said that people moan about elections and voting and not changing anything. His point was, if elections actually changed anything, we probably wouldn't be allowed to do it.
Yeah,
It's almost token gesture, isn't it?
There's an obvious argument that democracy is a sham. It's safe, isn't it? It's you replace like with like too much of the time.
Absolutely, and I think we've actually seen. I personally feel we've seen that democracy is a sham with the Brexit thing recently, to be quite honest, because that was completely constructed, as far as I'm concerned, through a web of lies and deceit and gerrymandering.
Yeah, well, whichever side of the debate you sit on, no decision of that magnitude should ever be made on 50% of the vote.
Yeah,
is what it comes down to. It's not really democracy, is it? If something like half the population get the opposite of what they want on a whim.
It's a fair point. Fair point.
Anybody got any thoughts about young people today? I mean, we were talking to Fred, with imagining him as a 13-year-old in the Virgin Destroyer, thinking my brother's job because he was too possibly down Frishmore. Where did you live then exactly? You weren't on Sandpit.
No, I was on New Street.
Oh, New Street.
Yeah, on the edge of Dodmore.
Oh, that's on the edge, yeah.
But what you've got to remember is I'm from Rockley. No, that is credentials. Yeah.
Rock and roll lane.
Yeah.
There's a lady over there from. Let's get this lady over here. Any thoughts on? Anybody going to? Anybody got any thoughts about what we're talking about here with young people and hang on, take that. Sam, take that up to Jenna.
There's one there. There's an authentic. Oh, hang on.
Turn the camera under there as well.
There's a young person. It's a birthday today.
It is, yeah.
Youngest one here.
Jenny in the corner, in the pink.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Oh. Yeah, they're all in their bedrooms and nobody's encouraging them to get out and get into music and join it as a mass and express themselves. They're all on PlayStation and Xbox talking to each other and hidden away in their bedrooms.
I think our generation used to spend a fair bit of time in bedrooms, but probably doing something different. I think.
Yeah, with a
that's more
toilet roll
creative.
or a box of tissues.
That's because you're a virgin destroyer, mate.
Yay!
But they don't have a social life, and everything's all online, and they're all too scared to go out and do stuff because everything they do is posted online. They can't just exist.
How do we get them out of there? That's the trick, isn't it? How do
I
we
don't
get them out
know.
of there?
Is it too late? I don't know.
I think you do them an injustice. I think they're more aware now, yeah, of how to save the planet, and I think a lot of kids, are doing their bit, and they understand, that now it's their turn. Yeah, we did our bit.
Yeah, I get that, but they're stuck in their bed.
But they won't do it the same way we do. They'll do it over social media. Yeah. There will never be another poll tax riot. Yeah, there will never be another.
Shame.
There will another miners' strike.
I think.
And that's what we grew up with. Yeah.
I think they're more restricted. It's hard to see a revolution happening while we got free football on the telly and cheap lager in the supermarkets. Do enough people care about things that matter is the question. There are young people who really, really care, and some of them are making a huge difference. I don't think enough of them believe they can make a difference. That's the trouble for me.
No.
Well, so
And we've let them down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrap them up in cotton wool and let them stay in their bedrooms, hiding.
Here's the thing then. I mean, one might say that the flurry of interest from young people for Corbyn's leadership, was that a potential moment of change? Let's have the microphone over on this table, please, Sam. That'll learn you to say something, won't it? I'll get the microphone on you. We've got a few people at home, actually. Somebody called Neil Lewis has just put a shout out for Fred. Oh, Fred. Do you know Neil Lewis?
We do. I know two Neil Lewises. I know which one that is, though.
You know that one, do you?
Yeah, Sound 55. You could have done with him here tonight.
Well, maybe you should get down here. Give it to Welby with the hat, look. Go on, it doesn't matter. So this is our chance to get Welby on, isn't it? Come on. Former member
what was the question?
Former member of the Exude.
What was the question?
We were talking about young people, young people's political awareness on the back of the Corbyn leadership and the missed moment. I think you said, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the media had a huge part to play in his downfall. To be honest, I mean there was a campaign to just discredit everything that he'd done previously, and this stuff about being an anti-Semite was just the most ridiculous campaign you could have thought of, but anything to discredit Jeremy Corbyn was kind of laid bare, and I think it was a missed opportunity. I think there was a real, Fred was talking about punk being the last kind of real movement. I think that was our chance, or this generation's chance, to do something similar. But it needed a musical movement behind it as well, I think.
And do you think Jeremy Corbyn could have led that? Do you think he could have been that punk leader of sorts?
I don't know. I mean, that's a difficult thing, isn't it? I think perhaps his age was against him. I mean, the fact that he had an allotment. I mean, anything they could discredit him with, or belittle him with was raised, and his credibility was just, who who knows whether he'd have been a good leader, but he had some great ideas. He's about community. He's about people. He's about the oppressed. And if you vote against that, well, you really need to have a serious look at yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and the point the reason I raise it is it does stand out as a moment in time where youth identified politically, didn't it? I haven't seen that for a long time, not since the Rock Against Racism and Anti-Nazi League stuff from the early 80s, really. Thanks, Mark. Anyway, Fred, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a tricky issue because young people, you want to see them rebelling against authority. If we had a Corbyn government, how are young people going to react to that? It's likely that you'd have seen more funding going into the arts for young people, into opportunities for young kids, into youth services perhaps.
All good, worthy stuff, but whether we'd have seen a sort of a vapor trail from that led to a genuine revolutionary change in young people's outlooks, I think is a different issue. Young people tend to react against
what the authorities do. If Corbyn became the authorities,
Major cities, funding would have gone to major cities. It would have come to places like Ludlow, and that's the problem with Ludlow. It's a great place to bring up your kids, but once they get to 50, 60 years old, there's nothing.
So the point made there was that the funding, if it had come from Corbyn, would have gone to major cities and not filtered down to small communities like this. That's the challenge, isn't it, when you've only got a finite amount of money?
Whatever political party you're in.
Yeah,
well, I mean, there are finances and there are economics and the numbers and the money has to spread around, doesn't it? I personally think to be in a country that feels a little bit more like it cares has some value, but without being wanting to be part. I'm policy political, not party political in this situation as best I can be. Another thing, I mean, we talk about rebels tonight, people making a difference, think they can change the world. I was appalled when I realised. Have you all seen that Ken Robinson TED talk on creativity and how schools teach creativity out of children? Have you seen that? So, do you know the TED Talks? The TED Talks, like online lectures and stuff, the number one TED Talk had 350 million views, and it talks about how we're all born creative, but the education system teaches that creativity out of us, for whatever reason, maybe because we want people to sit still in factories. What we did once upon a time, we just wanted people to sit still in factories and offices. That's what the education system was invented for. Sam? And it's failed a lot of young people, and as a result, a lot of creative people now are in the independent school sector because the education system we've got now, as a result of the last 10 years of reform, and I'm on record as saying this, direct result of work by Dominic Cummings and Michael Gove, has narrowed the curriculum to very academic subjects. It's based on rote learning. It's test. They're de-skilling the craft and the art of teaching. They're making head teachers massively accountable. So if they don't do as they're told, they will lose their jobs or get fired. And amazing head teacher Vic Goddard in Essex, who I've done some work with, said he does the best for his kids. He'll take anybody from his community. But he was at risk of losing his job if he didn't get the results because his governors were going to have to fire him if he didn't get his stats. Now you're in that environment. Does that sound familiar to you, Fred?
I've seen it firsthand, and the changes
in the last 12 years. I'm not a Blairite, but I have to say that the investment in education in those years made it a much better environment for people to work in and to learn in, and the cuts to education since 2010 have been catastrophic, and particularly to the creative subjects. It's been a real shame to see.
So let me stop you there. So the Blair government reformed and radicalised, improved education. Now, because a lot of people think it went backwards. Results and academic achievement went down. We were bottom of the league tables for maths and literacy. And Michael Gove and the government came along and said, right, 10 years ago, we need to get to the top of the league tables for maths and literacy. So let's just focus on maths and literacy.
It depends what you're going to measure progress by, doesn't it, or achievement
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah. I get that. You wait till after all. It depends what you measure it by. And, you know, if we're going to say education is a tool to push the country forward and give us a chance in the future of being an effective player on the world stage, we're going to need young people, aren't we, who are creative, who can come up with solutions, not who can put things in the right boxes or, you know, get a question right. We're surely discouraging the sort of thinking that is going to give this country a chance of being a leader for as a positive force in the world.
I used to say exactly the same thing, and I'm not.
And I'll tell you what's made me change my view on that. If you believe that education exists purely to educate people for the workforce, but accept that robots are going to take 70% of the jobs, how do you justify spending money on education if you only believe that you educate people for work and there's not going to be any jobs?
I'm not saying we're educating people. We should be educating people.
I'm not saying you are, but that's the rationale a lot of people have.
Yeah. And
So people aren't worth educating beyond the ability to fill a form and claim your gyro or whatever.
but we should be educating them to be able to take responsibility for their lives, to feel confident that they can contribute something to their communities, to be more creative. It's from the argument from Gove and people like him is that, you know, it's that grad grind thing, isn't it? It's we need people who can you can take them on their own argument. You can turn that round on them and say, actually, that's a terrible bloody argument for the approach you're taking, that all young people need to do is know stuff. Anybody can know stuff. You can know whatever you want now at the press of a button. What we want is young people who are open-minded and believe in themselves that they can make a difference in the world, and we're not going to get that through the changes that have been made in the last 11 years by making things more difficult for kids to prepare themselves for the real world.
I completely agree. I refer you to this double-page spread out in the Fringe Guide, actually. There's a picture of me and Anita Bixby, the managing director. I was absolutely over the moon when she asked me if I'd be the patron of the Ludlow Fringe. And I just said, live your best creative life. I'll be forever grateful for my childhood years, growing up in Ludlow, my education, being encouraged to be good with my hands at St Lawrence Infant School, woodworking at the grammar school, building train sets and rockets with Dad, and painting with Mum. We were so lucky to have an education like that. And I think the point is, it's living a creative life that we should aspire to do, living a good life. Not just as a cog in the wheels of I don't want to say the capitalist system, that certainly makes me sound like a crazy Marxist lefty nutcase. Like you. No.
Because people in government have been brought up, educated to just fill in the form and tick boxes. We need people in government that actually understand that.
So for people Jenny's saying we need people in governments who understand the value of creativity and the value of creative jobs. So my other devil's advocate view on this, if I don't agree with somebody, I don't just want to fight them and scream at them, I try and understand why they think what they do. And a lot of people, I mean, Chris Sullivan hates the establishment, the Eatons, this, you are better than everybody else, you're a leader, blah, 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 blah. Now there's a logic, I try and think, why do people want that? They think, well, actually, we've got so much money, let's just spend a bit of money on having a few leaders and everybody else can be this. But what kills me is that we seem to punish those people who are lower down the rungs by alienating them from education, almost breeding them as prison fodder, because we need people in the prison system to make money from them. And frankly, if the argument that we need people to be creative, you can argue we can get all the creative people we need from the independent sector. If they've got the best art teachers, the best music facilities, and the best this and the best that, we can get all the creative people we need. But then you start getting into some dystopian fascist state that sees people as little ants and this hierarchical caste class system, really. I don't know if Chris Sullivan, Chris is coming on, actually. I think we should get Chris on, actually. Chris, put your hand up if you can hear me, young man. Chris Sullivan, put your hand up if you can hear me, because I can see you. Can you hear me, Chris? Speak, Chris.
I can hear you.
I said put your hand up. That's great. So we can hear you as well. So what I'm going to do is Chris Sullivan. Chris Sullivan is on the line. Have you been listening to this? What we've been talking about here, Chris, by any chance?
No.
Okay, I'm just going to click you.
We've been setting up this system here.
Okay, hang on a second. But it's working, it's looking good, it's looking very good. Because you're actually going to magically transform to join us here in Ludlow any moment now. So Chris Sullivan is, I'm going to press that button there for now, and that button there, and Chris Sullivan's right there between us. There we go. Chris Sullivan, big cheer for Chris Sullivan. There you go, Chris.
Marvellous.
Welcome to Ludlow. Chris, we've been talking about the education system, killing creativity, working class people, upper class people eaten. Give us a few minutes, your thoughts on this, because we had an interesting chat about this the other day. Go for it.
Well, basically, the Conservative Party, as we now know it, or even going back to Margaret Thatcher, systematically tried to de-educate or uneducate the working man. Take us back to the 1930s before the Second World War. And that's been a policy which started with Thatcher cutting back on funding for school books and pens and writing, and continued ever since. And now it's well, I'd like to think Zenith, but I don't quite think so. Whereas now they're trying to cut back on 50% of funding for arts, with the exception all arts, dance, drama, music, with the exception, funnily enough, of if you're learning to be part of a string quartet. Now, I think there's not many council estates that have provided world-class violinists. But I presume that many public schools have had a contender. And that's what we're suffering from at the moment. I think you'll find that most famous British actors, for example, are public schoolboys. Etonians. And if we think back to the most famous actors, British actors, you've got let's go back to sort of famous actors in the world were Richard Burton, Anthony Hopkins after him, of course, both Welshmen, Richard Harris, Peter O'Toole, Albert Finney, Tom Courtney. They were all Bevan boys. They were all people who went to RADA by virtue of a grant. And think of all the money that they revenue, the people that saw them, you know. Just think about all the good kitchen sink dramas that were the first dramas to talk about what it like to be working class. And if I could shift it over. The actors that we know, whether it be Steve McQueen, you go on, Rod Steiger, then you got writers, they were all subject to the GI Bill. Basically, after World War II, gave them the right to further education. I mean, the litany of actors who are Lee Marvin, who benefit from writers. Norman Mailer from these grants. It's just from there aren't big American actors, other guys.
So you wrote your first book, Rebel. What characterises a rebel to you?
No, it's my third book.
Okay, so your first Rebel book. What characterises a rebel to you, Chris?
Well, the very word rebel anyway. Because
you wrote the book with it on the title.
They just be themselves. If you consider yourself a rebel, then you're not a rebel. You're actually considering that there's something very different. You're the norm. So my book was cheap, called it Rebel, we call Mavericks made our modern world. And the thread is that all those people who created culture, art, as we now know it, were basically considered rebels at one point. I was just reading up about Galileo, for example, who was killed for being a heretic. Wicked heresy because he had the gall to say that the planet revolves around the sun. And other rebels were mad like Einstein. Socrates, Plato, and all these so-called rebels, they were doing their thing. And without rebellion, it has to be oftentimes the I think fueled by some knowledge, learning college and art or whatever. We will never move on. I mean, at one point, you would have been the mistake you said was not flat. And so it's the rebels change our way. It's not the conservatives that those who have the inability to change. They retain traditional values. Traditional values. We can have cars. We wouldn't have heating. We wouldn't have water in our houses. The world is on by rebels want to malcontent, all those better are basically people who created what we have now. The right considered crazy. Let's go on and on, like Galileo used air thermometer, and he was almost burned to death. I mean, the list is endless.
So who were the most rebellious rebels in your first book then? And give us some examples of what characterised their behaviour.
Well, I tell you, it was the most rebellious fella called Here
we go.
Anyway, it depends. I mean, probably the most rebellious was a guy called the Iceman, which is Richard Kuklinski, who was a hitman for the mob. And he killed like people, but he never killed what he called the public. He only killed other monsters. And for him, his way of he was a rebel in that he thought he was a soldier. Because what are the mafia other versions of our family? The mafia as the Duke of Westminster said the other day, when somebody asked him what it takes to be a good Englishman, a wealthy landowner, he said, if one of your ancestors was friendly with William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror was just like a mafia boss. And so this guy, basically his attitude was killing soldiers who already part of the mafia. They already said he killed other killers, which in the faith of religion, it's punishable by death, is quite radical thinking. But he wasn't. We have other people. We have Louise Brooks, who was the biggest star in the world. She threw it in because she thought it was silly. You have Danny Lister again, fighting not twice. Because again, it's all a bit dark. You got James Brown.
give away to say, yeah, it wasn't long enough, but bloody hell I had fun. And it was interesting, and I met people who challenged my thinking. It's everything, isn't it? Everything.
Well, with creativity, without art, we are just donkeys. Who go about our work every day, feed ourselves, procreate, die.
Some of that's all right. You're absolutely right, Chris. Yeah, it's, I think, people need to be challenged. We're too easily led, and we need those creative thinkers to add colour. What have you contributed to the universe if you kick the bucket without having challenged people and trying to come up with new ideas and gone against the flow?
Sadly, the government now, the Tory government has systematically brainwashed the thinking that a lot of men that we are power to anything. I mean, the fact that Johnson was voted in the first place is an enormous condemnation of our education system. I mean, people just do not, they just believe what the Daily Mail and the Telegraph tell them. Because they have no ability, many people have any ability to adjudicate. That's because they haven't been given books to read. Because they haven't been educated. Which is part of the Tory plan. An intelligent enemy is the most dangerous enemy in the world. Or mankind.
Well, there's no mystery about why the Nazis burnt books, is there?
Exactly right. And banned marches, and same as Mussolini, information is everything.
So I was waiting for Nick to intervene there.
I think he's reading something. I think he's reading the Telegraph.
We've got a problem with the audio at home. There's a bad echo because we had to reconfigure the audio for the
He got in art David Maid.
That was reacting to Lenny's complaint. I think it's Lenny's hearing aid.
We've got an audio problem at
home.
Creativity
is everything. That's what basically distinguishes us from animals. And I'm a big supporter of animal rights and etc. If we are to be considered human, we have to be able to allowed to create things. I think. It's quite really odd in a way that the very people who are stopping us are supposed to be Christians. And yet the very example of the people's creativity is to build these great big cathedrals for God. If creativity is worth nothing, why did they build them in the first place? God would think what a pile of old shit that is. Anyways, it's a bad egg at the moment. This country. Sorry, I've got this echo. It's weird.
There is a bad echo. There's a bad echo at home as well. I can't get rid of it.
But as I say, rebellion, for example, is always contextual because I mean, after me is my old friend Glenn Matlock. I remember back in the punk thing. It was if you had pink hair, you get stones thrown at you, get attacked, chased down the street. Now serving you at Waitrose with pink hair. It's funny how so-called rebellion becomes the norm. And that's why this artistry and rebellion creates the future. Without these rebels, without these pioneers, we'd be nowhere. And that was what my book was about. I basically decided to find a load of people I admired, rebels, and write a book, especially for young people, so they can see that there is a way of doing it without having to follow the rules, and probably breaking the rules is better. And I wrote this before this this whole pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that a lot of people will actually have had time to think about what life is all about and having to think about they don't have to follow the rules and come out and break a few and create a future. So it's quite a timely book in many respects. Because now is the time if you're going to change the future, create a better future. I think now is the time to do it.
I think it's an opportunity, isn't it? We've got to grasp this time.
It's a fantastic
opportunity. Whether the people with the authority, the people who are in control of the purse strings, are prepared to allow people the freedom to express themselves is a different issue.
Well, we've got to grab it from them, or else do it yourself.
As the electorate, we've got to take responsibility for that, haven't we?
Well, this is, I keep on, people say to me, what can we do? I say, well, you could have voted against them in the first place, I mean, that's, unfortunately, they've got such a big majority, we're going to have a hard, we're stuck with them for a few years. But the only thing that's going to change it is activism.
Well,
I mean, imagine, who would have thought a load of hippies would have stopped the Vietnam War, but they did.
They did. I think what it proves is that silence is a sin, isn't it? Silence
It's absolutely
betrayal. If you care about something, you've got to talk. You've got to speak. You've got to try and convince something.
Well, you've got to get active, I think, and that's why it's so important at the moment. They're trying to ban the right to march and the right to demonstrate, because that's our only voice apart from the odd petition at the moment. And our rights are being just trodden all over at the moment. And and going back to what Nick's whole raison d'être is about with the Steam Co, one of the greatest rights we have is for our creativity and the arts, and we have to look after the generation who will create the next wave of arts. Because, John Lennon, he went to art college. If he hadn't gone to art college, there'd probably be no Beatles. So, I mean, I'm not a great Beatles fan, but you get my analogy there. We need to nurture the future John Lennons, the future Sex Pistols, the future Bob Dylans, Because without them, what's the future going to be like? Music made by machines without any human interaction at all.
1 2 1 2. Right, I'm just trying to.
1 2.
A second. 1 2. Am I coming out of there? Can you hear me on the speakers at the front?
So Ludlow, anyway. So there you are.
We've got an audio problem here.
I thought there was a pub in Ludlow when I went. They called the Ducking Stool, but it's in actual Learminster, isn't it? There is a pub called the Feathers, isn't there, in Ludlow, which is famous for hauntings and stuff, apparently. Not that I believe in it, but.
One, two. 1 2 1 2. We've got a bit of a meltdown here.
Well, while there's a big gap.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. But but I can hear you. But it just nothing was happening for a minute.
We've got.
I could read out my foreword for my book if you want.
Hang on. 1 2.
I can hear you, but very quietly now.
Are we very quiet? Are we?
Oh, that's better.
We've got an
You
echo,
disappeared
that's
for a minute.
Yeah, we've got a horrible
About
echo.
5 minutes. Give everyone a rest anyway, so they can have a gulp on their
Does it sound
drinks.
better at home for everybody? I think what we'll do is we'll have a 10-minute break and we'll see if we can get this sorted out, and we'll get Glenn on. But I need to sort it before I do that. You stay there, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
get that little thing. How could that have
It was
cost?
money down the sink, but then
Well, they just gave it to their friends.
yeah,
Their
exactly.
friends.
The whole people
Why do you
rights
think?
scandal.
Why do you think they're so keen on bloody on?
One, two, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, well, I think we can get going again. I've had to change it around a little bit.
Like a Nick Ferrari, just a pig.
So, Chris Sullivan,
I mean, how
can
can
you
he
hear us?
actually say that?
Chris, can you hear us? Okay, so I think we've got the audio sorted out better at home. So 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Chunk of history which is
just gone. Yeah, he never mentioned it, you know. And then, considering the fact that City of London was formed on the back of slavery, considering that all the stately homes were made out of slavery, it's like just never mentioned. It's like, who the fuck wrote these books? You think? Say, oh, you're still on the right. I said,
One, two, 1 2 1 2 1 2.
How long ago did he write?
Oh, about listen, he's got interviews I did with people I did in this in the 2000s, and then interviews I did all the way through. Pieces I did really recently. It's just like it's compendium. Sort of, you know, I'd say because it's 35 West Coast Reserve, the Duke of York, formed the brother Charles II. You know. In comparison, even though it wasn't, you know, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, that is beyond the pale. That is in the 20th century as well.
Chris, can you hear me, Chris?
Yes. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello.
But I'm just getting terrible audio echoes and problems.
Yes.
Problem I have is when I bring this in, we get
What ghost was it called again?
King Leopold's Ghost. Leopold, you know, as in King Leopold of Belgium. Belgian Congo. Absolutely incredible. It'll make you cry. I was trying to do a screenplay about it because the guy who actually stopped it was an English clerk, a shipping clerk from Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, because I write sort of screenplays. Not that anything big has been made, but you know, a lot have been in pre-production. I've been paid quite a lot of money to make films, to write films that's never been made. That's it. Right. That's it.
Chris,
so I was thinking.
Okay, so we're live at the moment. I'm just going to see if I can get you up on the screen here. Hang on a second. So we had a bit of a technical issue coming there, which I'm sure everybody's noticed.
How's Glenn doing?
Glenn's ready and on standby. I just got to I'm not going to Glenn until I'm confident it's all working. You'll be glad to know, and I'm sure you will as well.
Am I the guinea pig?
Well, you are to a certain degree. I'm sure you've had these moments.
I don't mind that at all.
Thanks, mate. I do want to get to Glenn as soon as I can. So if I put you there. We're getting a really bad feedback issue when I put you up on the screen at the same time. So we can go like this. It's just when I come across to you, we get a feedback problem.
Where's the echo was the problem?
The echo was the problem. The echo's gone now. Are you hearing me?
Because I'm not having it anymore. Because it was really disconcerting. Because I was hearing myself about a second delay.
I know I've killed that, but it caused another problem.
Huh? God, the moisturiser I've been using has been working. Imagine.
I'm going to. Okay, Chris, so the way we can do this is that I can sit and talk to you and I can sit and talk to Glenn. We're just going to struggle to get everybody up on the screen at the same time, the way that the system's configured at the moment. Everybody's here to hear Glenn and to.
Well,
to
get him on then. He's
Glenn,
the star. They've had enough of me ranting.
Sorry?
Even though I made perfect sense.
I can see Glenn at home, and just ready for him, waiting for him to get ready. Really.
Yeah,
and have a
best to
bit of
get
a
him
chat.
going, really. So it's 20 to 9 now.
I
So
know.
you did say
Here he
7:30
is.
for him. So probably wise move to get him in on, really.
Glenn, can you
I
click
think
your
they got
other
the
link
message
as
with me
well? I
anyway.
think the
Don't you
other
think?
device has gone off by the look of it. I've only got you on the one device at the moment, Glenn.
Pardon? Hang on.
Okay, everybody. We've got Glenn Matlock on the line.
Hang on a second.
So am I done now? Is you what the thing? Grow your hair long. See what it looks like.
Glenn, can you hear us? Your screen's frozen.
Hey, I can see somebody. Can you hear me?
Glenn Matlock is in the house. Hello, Glenn. All right.
Hello, how you doing? You getting both cameras or not?
I'm only getting the one at the moment.
Well, yeah, the other one's just blue. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Thanks for joining us, Glenn Matlock.
Yeah,
Welcome
I'm
to
in.
Ludlow
I can't
Fringe.
see you though. I can only see me twice. And I know what I look like.
Yeah, don't worry about that. I can put myself in there. I'll put myself in there in a second. So,
All right.
welcome to Ludlow Fringe.
Well,
I was
shame I'm
last-
not there in person, really. At least it stopped raining.
Have you ever been to Ludlow by any chance?
It rings a bell, but I'm not sure. Is it near Simmons Yat?
Yeah, not a million miles away. Sort of, yeah.
I was recording at Rockfield with Martin Chambers. And I said, what are you doing when we finish this session? He was doing some recording for somebody. And he went, well, as soon as we finish this last drum track, Glenn, he said, I'm going to get in the car with you and we're going to go to Simmons Yat and we're going to look at the baby kestrels. And that's what we did. It was fantastic.
It's a rock and roll life, isn't it?
He had his both binoculars by the side of his sticks case.
So when was that?
Oh, that was a few years back.
So Glenn Matlock, we're having a bit of a flashback to the old punk days, and I know you've had a career broad. I know. Do you know what I mean? A very, very broad career between since then and now. What are the sort of the memories and thoughts of that time in this country in 1976, 77?
There was a bit of an air for us. It was a mixed thing, really. There was a general malaise and air of despondency. There was the IRA bombings going on, 3-day week, power cuts, rubbish piled high in the streets, everybody on strike, hung parliaments, and that was a Labour government as well at the time. I think James Callaghan. But that was also tempered with being young guys who kind of managed to congregate together in possibly one of the hippest places in London at the time, looking back, which was Malcolm McLaren's Let It Rock shop. And we was finding our way in the world, and we sort of somehow wanted to do something about it. There was no music that we felt spoke for us. It was well after when you're younger, a year and a half's a long time, but the glam rock thing had been and gone. And there were bands like Yes and Genesis and all that playing, talking about old goblins and impies and fairies and things, which didn't make much sense if he was from the RRO. And there were some people doing pub rock, which was not so great. So we wanted to do something for ourselves about it. Then assembled a few ideas, and off we jolly well went. I don't think we really knew what we wanted to do. We knew what we didn't want to do, but we was going to do it anyway and get somewhere. Is what happened. Yeah.
Did you have any idea at the time what?
You're very quiet, Nick. Can you? Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
A bit better.
It's a lot better.
We're in Echo City tonight. We've got all sorts of technical issues going on, I'm afraid.
I noticed.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. We're sat here with in the middle of nowhere in the country in Shropshire, and I remember the TV Times one week had an article on how to pogo, because they had that program Revolver. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I was on the first episode and the last episode of my band, the Rich Kids, after my band after the Sex Pistols. Yeah.
Rich Kids was on that, wasn't it?
We was on the first one and the last one. We did the last one because Public Image was supposed to do it, and they pulled out the last minute after that.
Who used to present that again? Was it?
Well, it was the Mickey Mouse program, but it was presented by Peter Cook.
Peter Cook was involved in that, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah, Peter Cook.
Yeah.
So
Oh, great! I've managed to do that now. A little square of me was coming up your head, so it's gone. No.
Fred, anything you want to say to Sid? Glenn.
Oh, now I'm putting my Spurs covering up your head now. This is the right game of soldiers
Anytime
always
you want
technology,
to
isn't it?
come up and do a couple of numbers with a dodgy old punk rock covers band called Do Not Resuscitate, you're very welcome to Ludlow.
Right, well, it sounds like they're in the house.
We used to do a couple of your songs, and I'm sure we could get a few dozen people in the brewery if you're ever interested in coming up.
Well, maybe.
Well, we nearly had a gig, didn't we? And we actually had to kill that because of the COVID and all that nonsense.
Well,
Glenn, how's lockdown been for you, Glenn? I mean, we did a few bits and pieces last year. Have you actually had a gig in the last 15, 16 months?
I've done two shows and a sort of chatting like this a bit in Dusseldorf. When the lockdown was a bit, I actually went to Sicily. I've never been to Italy before, and I played with two Italian guys. We all did separate sets in this council amphitheatre halfway up the slopes of Mount Etna. That was pretty fun, and I've managed to turn it into a little bit of a break kind of holiday, which is great. I love going there because I've never. Oh, we got the echo back now. Whatever you did, don't do that. That was fun. That was fun doing that. And then what else did I do? I did a gig at the Electric Ballroom with my band in Camden in sort of late August, September. But that only really worked because it looked like lockdown was going to be lifted, and they had a new PA system, and they needed some guinea pigs to do it, and they asked us to do it. So we did it, and it was a good night, you know. But then it all happened again.
So you got out for a little bit then?
I got out for a little bit, yeah. There's a lot of sort of walking around the block and having coffees. I'm quite fortunate by it. There's a bit of a stellar street of people around it, as you probably know. So people have been bumping in and into each other and comparing notes, really. Well, I've been doing things. I've done lots of online sessions for people. I've actually got a charity record out at the moment with Clem Burke played drums in LA, Marcello Detritus on it, Earl Slick played up in New York, and then Tony Hadley, Jules Holland, and nobody met up. We all did it online, and it kind of worked quite successfully. But the only thing is we wasn't playing live. We each did our bit, so you don't have all that delay problem. But the record sounds pretty good. The only thing is there wasn't much sort of beer, coffee, and chat, which is half the fun of it sometimes, you know. And that's where, when you meet up with people, the kind of the slightly off the wall idea comes through, you know, at the end of the session. So you don't get that. But I've done other stuff. I'm mates with this guy called Henry Padovani. He was the original guitarist in the Police, and then his own career as a Corsican guy. He's living in Corsica, and he said, I've been talking to these guys. They've got a pretty good rock band out there. Would you play some bass on it? I said, well, send us the track, and I did it. I had no idea where they were from. And it turns out it's from Buenos Aires, where I live anyway. So I did the bass for them, sent it back online. They were happy. Great. I sent it to him in Corsica, he sent it to them in Buenos Aires. And then they actually paid me for it. It was good. And the bloke that paid me was in Switzerland. So it was a real kind of two hemispheres session. So I've been doing a few things like that.
Well, I'm glad you were keeping yourself busy. Didn't you have Earl Slick on your settee or sofa search thing for most of lockdown?
I had it in my spare room, in my studio room. And yeah, we kind of sort of locked along together quite well. We did a little gig for you in the school around the corner, pretending maybe it was a Glastonbury. I never see the final thing, so I hope it came out all right. But yeah, and then I went back to the States, and we sort of keep in touch and stuff. I think he might be over later in the year, but you know, the travelling aspect is pretty bad for two reasons, and I think we kind of touched on that. There's both, when he's talking to Chris, there's both COVID, and there's also the Tory party and their stupid Brexit. You know, so what's going to happen now? I don't know.
You were telling me you were on a demo the other day. What was that all about?
Well, I am most concerned about Priti Patel's not stopping people protesting, but it very much seems that the more stringent rules they're going to bring in, which could be even 10 years imprisonment for making the wrong noise at the wrong time to the wrong person, which is probably down to what side of bed she's got out in the morning, which is normally the wrong side. I thought I'd grab the bull by the horns and kind of just show my colours and go on the march and make up the numbers. But there was a lot of people there. What I didn't realise, though, it was a catch-all for loads of different groups. There was Extinction Rebellion, support the NHS, Free Palestine, all kind of good things. Then a bit later in the day, and I don't think they got down there too early because they were probably waiting for the office to open so they could get some beer to take, was the anti-vax brigade, which I wasn't too happy about, so I split by then. But yeah, I went on that. I've been on a few kind of marches recently. I went on last year, the last, second vote thing. So, because all of this, what's going on, is just dreadful. The musicians, people in the arts, anybody who wants a more worldwide view of things. So, not very happy about it, must admit.
It's interesting because you go on a demo about one thing, but then end up on a demo about something else. Do you find it all a bit of a mix-up and a mash-up?
It was a bit of a mix-up. In a way, it wasn't about something else because I think all these different factions and groups were using that before this bill, which was the catch-all phrase "kill the bill," which I don't think is very kind of clever to call it that actually, but that's the idea of it, it would be misconstrued. But everybody was using this one opportunity that if the bill does go through, which it probably will be, they would lose the right to protest. So everybody kind of came down together at the same time. It was one of the first times after lockdown had been lifted a little bit. So it may need some kind of sense, really.
Are you up for playing a few tunes?
I'll give it a go. I haven't been doing that much playing, so.
Anybody want to hear anything from Glenn tonight? We've got echo on the microphone here, but you sound good, Glenn, so I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. Go on, give us a tune. Give us a tune.
Builders cleavage.
I have. You'll probably go, oh no, he's written some new songs out, but I think they're kind of a bit pertinent to where we are at the moment, and they're jolly toe tappers. So if you're ready, this one is called Head on a Stick. You ready? Hey now, I gotta get this out there. I just got too much on my mind. Oh yeah, I gotta get this out there. Feel like the witness to a crime. So many minds out on vacation. I'm pleading ignorance is bliss. Shut out of self situation. I'm out of hell, has it all come to this? I may be slow, but boy, I can cut it out real quick. Ain't gonna let this go until someone's head on a stick. Oh yeah, I could get a water from everybody that I see. They try to tell me what I oughta. They part of high society. Sure ain't no power gonna virtue. No action sees what you get. Guess why you're gonna hurt you. But there are some things you should not forget. I may be slow, but boy, I can cut it out real quick. Ain't gonna let this go until someone's head on the stick. Ah, yeah. Won't see how this could be. There goes our finest hour. Won't see how this could be. Yeah, that was once so sweet, it turned so sour. Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta get myself there. I just got too much on my mind. Oh yeah, I gotta get myself there. I don't see no benefiting kind. I'm never slow, but boy, I don't know real quick. I'm gonna let this go until the someone's head on the sled. Ah, yeah. Hey, I know it's when it cuts you to the quick. You can't let this go until the someone's. I can't let this go until the someone's. We don't let this go until the someone's head on the sled. Nah, 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 nah. We don't let this go until the someone's. I can't let this go until the someone's. Just can't let this go until the someone's head on the sled. Nah, 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 nah. Head on the sled. Nah, 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 nah. Head on the sled. Nah, 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 nah. Head on the sled.
There you go, that's where I'm at. Do I have one?
That's real applause, Glenn. Real applause.
I could hear a smattering. I do like a smattering.
That was a
Do you want to
smattering.
do a couple more?
Absolutely, go for it.
Like, if anybody can clap along in time, I probably can't hear you, but this one's got a bit of an instant karma kind of groove, so it's like that. Like that. Oh, but never mind.
Oh yeah. Trying to see exactly where we are all at. Like a looking for a needle and a haystack. Got yourself a certain thing looking for you, yeah. Oh, my baby, yeah, that, yeah. Don't see how we can swallow a rain check. Take tomorrow. Don't see that it's all that it's gonna fight. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in a crazy kind of magic happy ride. Got no idea where we're all going. Guess somewhere that the wind is blowing. Ain't planning on a whole little fly past, no, not yet. And I'm gonna take it too fast. Can't see measure for measure. But there'll be something to treasure. Guess we'll see at a leisure as we're slip inside. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in a crazy kind of magic happy ride. That's right. Yeah. Ooh. Going over and over the whole shebang, the whole passing over. But hang out, say please don't refuse that. Man, my hands are tied, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in a crazy kind of magic happy ride. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Woo, woo.
Thank you.
Woo, woo.
There you go, Glenn. You're making a lot of people very happy tonight.
Yeah, good. They on the what do you drink down there? Is it Brains beer? Your structure is not quite
Banks's.
well. What is it? Oh, Manx's.
Banks's
Right, good.
and Marston's.
All right, I'm going to do one more for you. Smell on. This one's called Consequences. Coming. Yeah? Yeah, for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it to us, Glenn.
I'm going a bit acoustical, so I've got my hair going with it. I'm going for that sort of Laurel Canyon look to everything, but whether I'll ever achieve it, we do not know. But,
Oh, won't you look into my eyes? Oh, won't you look into my eyes? Want you to see that all blind won't ever cut me down the side. Oh no, no matter how low that you sing, you better stop and start to think. And take a look into my eyes. Take a look into my eyes. I ain't gonna take this lying down. Go ahead and spread the word around. Gonna be some consequences coming and I be for time. Ain't never gonna crack my style. Ain't never gonna crack my style. You know it just ain't worth your while. You know it just ain't worth your while. See, I'm connected on the dots, and I'm a picking on the knots. Ain't ever gonna crack my style. Ain't ever gonna crack my style. Oh no, ain't gonna take this lying down. Go ahead and spread the word around. Don't be some consequences coming and not be for time. Hey, a little warning, a shot to cross your path. You know I feel something's thorny, coming soon somehow. Hey, I get this feeling there's gonna be regret. Well, get it, got it, good, take it as a mark of my respect. So won't you look into my eyes? So won't you look into my eyes? Want you to see that I was blind. Won't ever cut me down in size. Oh no, ain't it gonna take this lying down. So hit it, spread the word around. Gonna be some consequences coming right down the line. Ain't it gonna take this lying down here. So then spread the word around. See some consequences coming right down the line. Gonna be some consequences coming and not be for time. There'll be some consequences coming in the sunshine. Well, I can see some consequences coming and not be for time.
Whey! Thanks, Glenn. Love that.
all right, I can't see it. It'd be nice to see your boat race, but there you go. How come it's still light there and it's dark here? It's probably 'cause
Say
I'm in
again?
the basement. How come it's still light there and it's dark here? It's probably because I'm in the
A
basement.
bit further west.
Is that? Oh,
I don't suppose you fancy, you wouldn't do pretty vacant for us before we go, would you? For all these old punks here?
it's past my bedtime.
You're not up for that?
Not really, not tonight. I think I've done my pet now.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to put out a consequence that next time, maybe I'll come down
Let's
again.
do it properly, yeah.
Because you've got to do it properly with the drums and the electric guitar and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
So,
we've got a
maybe-
band here who'd back you up, that's for sure, if you come up.
Yeah, I think I might have to do it a bit earlier in the day, though.
Yeah. Glenn Matlock, everybody, thank you very much.
Well, enjoy the rest of the year.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for sticking with it. Sorry about the technical hiccups.
There you go. It happens. Oh, very.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Fred. Oh, is Welby still here? Here he is. Right, well, I think we're going to knock that on the head with our live stream. It's Jenny's 50th birthday. I think we need to start the party, don't we? We need to have a party here. We can't witness this on camera. We can't have what's going to happen in here on a camera publicly. It is echoing. I'm going to stop that as soon as I go off air. We've got a bit of an issue, I'm afraid. So thank you all for joining us in online land and being here for the Fringe. We'll see you on the other side. Cheers.